This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
You have to be strong in today's world. Keep your focus and what you believe in, how to achieve all your dreams. Keep moving forward, never accept less than who you are. Live your best life. Be strong and free. It's the Hit Back with Nahasha Black.
The Hits Back with Nahasha Black is sponsored by the Cancer Treatment Centers of America and Burger King.
It's the Hit Back with Nahasha Black.
Good day, everybody. Welcome here to the Hit Back Show. This is yours truly, DJ Counsellor. It's my first time. I want to thank Nahasha for giving me the opportunity to host the show today, man. So definitely want you guys to call in. We do have a few topics we're going to be going through today, man. So, we definitely won't rush through. If you're interested in calling, please give us a call at 323-6232. Once again, 323-6232, 325-4316. And the next line will be 325-4259. I am intentionally reading that slow because I remember numerous of times driving in the car and trying to catch the number, and sometimes the hosts are going a little bit too quick. And of course, our text line is powered by BTC. It's 422-4796. Once again, if you've never texted or you're definitely not new, you can make sure chime in if you can. Once again, it's 422-4796. Today we have two gentlemen in the studio with us today. These gentlemen have been around for a while. I have known them for a few years, and they're in the security business, but not just the common open door security. In fact, hopefully they will actually break down the terminologies of what type of securities that we have that are available here in the Bahamas, and the list goes on. Today, our first guest will be Mr. Virgil, a Thurston Stirrup. Mr. Stirrup has attained more than 12 years in the years of experience with the Royal Bahamas Defense Force as a leading Marine. In addition to this, he's more than 5 years experience with the Embassy of the United States Department of Diplomatic Security Services in Nassau, Bahamas as a supervisor protection agent. During his employ, he also provided protection duties and logistic support to other diplomats visiting the Bahamas. Mr. Stirrup is also sworn as a Belize District Constable. During his tour of duty of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, he attained the position of leading Marine and the Commodore Squadron. Also, able seaman in November 1993, and in 2000 he was promoted to leading seaman after successfully completing promotion exams, attending local and international training in military operations. In 2001, Mr. Stirrup held the position of inspector with the security division of the Airport Authority, where he gained valuable knowledge in the aspects of the airport security. In addition to his extensive military experience, Mr. Stirrup completed training with the United States Air Force, Special Operation Command and Communications and Weapons. He also attained training for infantry tactics and land navigation in Grenada trade winds operations with the British Royal Marines and the U.S. Special Forces in 1999. He extended his knowledge and completing the training in vehicle search procedures, and the list goes on. Mr. Stirrup, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful, and thank you for the opportunity.
That's good. You could pull your mask down a bit and make sure our guests can hear you. All right, come a little closer if you can. All right. Yes, check what up. Okay, you can hear you quite clearly. And we also have with us another gentleman. We're going to get to him right now. So, Mr. Stirp.
Yes, sir.
Just a brief talking about your bio here. You've served your country. You've stepped into the private sector. And so during your time of serving your country, I would like to ask you a personal question. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force then and now, what is the difference?
Well, there isn't much difference in terms of the standards and in terms of the platform in which the Marine Corps has been established here in the Bahamas. There is a minimum standard for basic training, and there is also advanced training. Now, technology has played a role in how training is now conducted. There is a lot more modern equipment than used to be in the past. You can now do a lot of things that you could not do before, and you don't have to do that manual training. Like, for instance, navigation. You use maps and compass. This time now you have GPS systems. So that's just a small taste of how technology has advanced. Even weaponry, equipment, a lot of things have changed in terms of that aspect. But the basic soldiering skills, I think, still remains intact.
Okay, all right, great, man, great. Now, but this next is going to be Mr. Marlin. Let me get it. Marlin F. Young. All right, I'm pleased to present to you a copy. All right, Marlin is an internationally certified protection agent, private security contractor with over 12 years experience in providing protection services on commercial and residential properties. Considered to be a vigilant and astute problem solver, recognized for ability in multitasking with a reliance to pressure. He's considered himself to be a team player, having flexible to lead, to take support role, and even through my professionalism achievements are numerous. He strives to be a role model for his country, providing assistance for the Bahamians through disaster relief, volunteer work through outreach, mentoring youth, education projects, and the list goes on. And so his work history is very, boy, Marlin, you've been doing your stuff. Private contractor, guard force supervisor at the U.S. Embassy, surveillance, counter surveillance, detection, your terrorist operations training, also tactical shotgun training instructor, for handguns also, operations specialist, petty officer first class, John, the international training department, July, that happened in the 19th of 1999. He also did training with the Royal Bahamas Police Force certified course studies, September 25th, 12 October, 2000. His district constable and security operations course, risk management functions, threat assessment, personal vetting, VIP protocol, protection services, and the list goes on. And so both of you men are obviously well trained. You've been serving in the private sector. Mr. Stirp here served at Bahamas, and you yourself served also as a district constable. Now, we know that in the Bahamas there's no more district constable. That is being changed to the reservists now. Am I correct?
That is correct.
All right, that is correct. All right. So, basically, ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know the backstory, I was on the show, I think, a week ago, speaking with Nahaja Black, pertaining to non-lethal responses that I think our police force would, I think as the public would like to see that come into role. We are happy to see that the body cams are on and now being used in courts, and so it protects the officer and also protects the civilians itself. Brings definitely a different eye and perspective. Doing trials, and the list goes on. And so we had an officer that lost his life. Of course, a lot of questions are going on. There's nothing much we could say about that situation, but what we would continue to cry out to the government is the fact that the importance of our police officers carrying non-lethal weapons. Now, I was on the police live stream a few days ago. I saw a comment by a civilian, made a very interesting comment. Why would we give our police officers non-lethal weapons if the bad guys have guns? And I said, obviously, this person is not thinking clearly. All right, you use a non-lethal weapon when the threat is not, eminence, right? And so, for those who don't know, and of course we know, and I alluded to this. It was not bashing the force that our officers are well trained. They attend the same conferences that all of the Canadians and the British and everybody else go to yearly. And as we read in your profiles, as many of you have trained along with them, so the knowledge is there. But the legislation needs to be put in place. I remember having this conversation about maybe 5 years ago. And they had some complications pertaining to using the taser, because again, if you're wearing a pacemaker or you have heart issues, you could have a problem. All right, but I am very sure that a parent, loved one, does not mind their son or daughter in the hospital from being bruised from rubber bullets, or maybe a loss of eye versus bullets in your chest or in your head, and we have loss of life. And so I want you guys to talk more about these non-lethal options that security has, also the police, of course, and of course mainly for the police, and you just give us your experience along the line. And so we can start off with a good friend here. Let's talk about the kind of service that you offer. And in fact, let's just kick off first and foremost the personal power that a civilian has when it comes to his or her protection. Because first, the crime has to be committed, and then we do what? We call who?
The police.
All right. And so, what are ways that we can protect ourselves and being more victorious instead of just always the victim?
Well, when it comes to the use of non-lethals, they are available in small quantities right over the counter.
Mm-hmm.
Take, for instance, the pepper sprays that mostly females carry on their keychains. You have the tasers that you can buy, the little small ones, the little mini ones in the square compartment that also can go on your keychains, mostly totaled by females again. These are also non-lethals. They may not be the high-tech non-lethals that a law enforcement officer would carry, but they still add a level of protection. But even with those, you would see persons buy them over the counter, put them on their keychains, and never even take it out of the case. So they don't even know how to use it if an opportunity or a situation arises where they have to deploy that device. So again, even at that level, some level of training needs to happen, even buying a non-lethal over the counter. And so when we think of non-lethals, we always go to the overseas countries, our international partners. You see the police officers on YouTube and other news channels using a taser or putting a perpetrator down. But non-lethals are also available for civilian use, like I say, in small areas such as the keychain, pepper spray, and the taser. Now, when you get into the law enforcement side, technology progresses daily. So there has been a lot of incidents where electronic tasers have been used in especially the United States, where our neighbor to the north, and they have had some legal challenges where persons would have had medical conditions and they would have died. Some became paralyzed, serious injuries. And so the non-lethal industry decided that they wanted to come up with ways to still deploy a non-lethal, but cut out some of the health issues that these non-lethal produces. And one of those was the advent of things like pepper, things like CS gas that would decapacitate your sight, cut your breathing for a small moment, that the law enforcement officer can take control of the situation. And these are the ones that we use, especially when we do work, especially when we work large events as concerts, large mass outdoor events. You can't use lethal force in those situations, but you want to disrupt a crowd. And so they have non-lethals that you can deploy that can disrupt a crowd, and security officers can carry, and you can disperse the crowd, and you don't have to get yourself physically involved in a conflict, and you can disperse the crowd and take control of a situation. Because if you have a weapon, a live weapon, and there's a large crowd, and you're outnumbered, you just can't shoot unarmed civilians.
No.
So you want to have a way to control that situation.
How is important for our officers to implement that as a part of their routine, as a part of their gear. We all know the importance of de-escalation. We know, I think every year, some states in the U.S., the officers will go through a certification every year to make sure that he is in tune on what he's dealing with. Because again, even in the U.S., different states are different. And same thing with our police stations. Our Cable Beach police station has a different what I'll say rounds to make versus Quaco Street police station.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so again, how important is it? An officer comes out of his car. Of course, he looks at I guess what he's approaching. He tells individuals to come out. I can tell you what happened to me a few days ago. I was asked to come with the car, and of course they assess if there is any threat. They'd always ask the question: is anybody in the car? Especially if they can't see, and then of course from there on, an officer would approach, and so forth. And so if there is a threat, now the officer. Only thing he has to reach for is a firearm. And I don't think the average person really understands how serious that is.
In any situation, the first thing you don't want to do is go to a scene or approach a situation, and the only option you have is to take a life.
Right.
It may be you pull someone over and they may be intoxicated. They may be on medication. They could be just having a bad day. Having a mental breakdown. And so you don't want to take that as an opportunity because somebody is having a lapse in judgment to just take them out.
Right.
So you want to have that option if you try to de-escalate the situation and the person doesn't comply, and you have to use some sort of force to detain them. You want to have that option to use the non-lethal, detain them.
Right.
As opposed to having to go straight to a lethal situation
Right.
and take them out. And then you find out the person had a bad mixture of two medications.
Yeah. So are we disadvantaging our officers? Are we putting them in the predicament to be questioned? Because again, a threat has risen that's above them. Say, for instance, this person is 3 times the size of Marlin. They know they physically can't tackle this man down. And so now this man is charging at them or coming at them. And the only thing I can reach for. Now, I've heard in the past years ago where an officer had to, he discharged his weapon, hit someone in the leg. He didn't want to kill them. But guess what? It hit a vein.
Yes.
And the gentleman still died. And so I think when we continue to drag our legs, we drive our, we can, administration, there's no one to point their fingers in particular. But when we don't do what needs to be done to equip our officers to execute their job in excellence, then it's us as the civilians who
suffers.
Yes, because at the end of the day, if an officer stops another officer, he identifies himself as the police officer, then the response is even different. And so anybody who is, I understand, is not a police officer is a what? It's a civilian. So if you're a prison officer, defense force officer, immigration officer, customs officer, or you just work and pack grocery, we all in the same thing, right? And so my whole gist was a few weeks ago when I spoke to Nahaj on the show was to kind of put it in public domain. The time is now, you know what I mean? And the thing is, right now, a lot of persons don't understand. Our politicians' job is to sit in parliament and deal with legislation.
Correct policies.
And so, yeah, that's it. Policies that is in best interest of who? Us. There you go. And so if we have to have a conversation about the police uniform as a change to acquire the extra stuff that need to go on that belt, then hey, we need to have the conversation. Because at the end of the day, it protects the officer and also protects the civilian when we look at these and I have these things and I'm done. Marlin, I want us to share on your experience as a private security officer. Most of the times I walk or I go anywhere, a security officer opens the door. The other day, Assistant Commissioner Clayton Fernanda made a very interesting statement publicly. He said he's been doing his rounds, and he was not very pleased to see officers packing grocery bags, opening doors and do other things, because the job of a security officer is supposed to do what? Please give us the understanding of what is the purpose and the job of a security officer. Come inside.
The base for a security officer is to secure and to visually see what's going on. If you parking a bag, you're now taking yourself away from that door or the surroundings and doing your job, which is actually surveilling. Observe and report. That is the base for a security officer.
Say it again.
Observe and report.
All right. Now, do the social media. I ain't talking gossip. Does a security officer have the right to arrest somebody?
No, sir. They have the power to detain and he has to state it to that person. You're in detention until the proper authorities come, at which time I will give them information pertaining to why I've detained you.
Wow. So officers who are going beyond the call of duty can find out the legal problems.
It's called liability.
Whoa.
And not just his, but the company's liability.
So a security officer has no right to ball his fist and punch somebody in the face.
In self-defense, we train to do self-defense to protect ourselves. But now we try to diffuse first and foremost. Your voice is your main weapon.
Right. So
sir, please relax. I know you're having a bad day, or sir, the
de-escalation.
The management has asked me to please escort you or request that you leave the premises. First and foremost, your vocal is your weapon.
Wow.
And most of the time, the issue with most security officers is training.
Right.
Training is always key. And one of our major problems in the security field is that most companies look at the bottom line. And the bottom line is they want to make money.
Yeah.
And to hire somebody who is trained, professional, usually will cost you money. They want to pay minimum wage.
Well, if Marlin just talk about de-escalation, that doesn't come by osmosis. That requires a level of training.
And when we approach companies, because we have branched off more than actually doing security ourselves now, we have branched more into the training phase. And we see where the security field is not taken as a professional field, mainly because if you look at a lot of the companies and you look at the way their officers are dressed, their demeanor, the way they approach situations, they aren't taken serious because they themselves don't come across as someone that the public wants to listen to, because they rile a situation to a point and they cause problems. So training is key when it comes to doing security work. Like Mr. Young said, just your professional approach sometimes de-escalates situation, most of the times. And persons will listen to authority if you approach them in the right way. And that goes for law enforcement, military, all across the board. It's about approach. Mr. Young and I, of course, we work together closely. So we work a lot of events. We work a lot of areas where access is restricted. And so we have to always interact with the public, letting them know that this area is off limit. And persons will have all kind of questions. Why? And you would stand and you answer them politely, and you de-escalate the situation by answering them politely.
Yeah.
But if you're having a bad day and you bring that to the job, you're going to cause yourself some problems and some issues, and regardless of which side of the security field, whether it's the policing, whether it's defense, whether it's boarding and searching a vessel at sea, whatever you're doing, training has to be key. And the training has to be scenario-based. What I mean is like scenario-based. We do real-world training where we train you, and then we put you in real-world scenarios to see how you would react.
Okay.
And most persons fail at part of it. Because if you take someone who's about 25, 30 years of age, they have already been conditioning through environment and through experiences. So it's difficult to put that person in a 2-week training or sometimes less than a week training and expect them to go there and you deprogram 25 years of bad behavior.
In a couple hours.
Sound
like you're doing miracles.
Right. So that is one of our major problems. And the persons who are trained, security companies look at that as eating into their bottom line. So at the end of the day, companies are in this field for one thing, to make a profit.
And if I
Even
can-
at their own risk.
even at their own risk, they will chance that liability and put someone out there and pay them less than to bring someone in that they have to pay more. Because at the end of the day, they're looking at if I get 15 officers and I have to pay each one of those officers above minimum wage, that cuts into my bottom line.
Definitely.
And so at the end of the day, everything all boils back down is to finances.
Yeah. And that is sad, eh? That is sad. So, from what I'm gathering from you, the role of a security officer is very important because he or she is first on the scene. They should have a level of education because now they are doing surveillance and they have to now communicate with the law enforcement. Has there been times where security officers also had to go to court?
Yes, there has. This is why you're required to at least carry a notebook and a pen. This is what the simple things, but these things help you in the sense of you won't be able to really remember things in detail over a period of time. But that notebook, right, with that date, with the description of the individual place and or location, right? Now you have this as your main piece of presentation to the lawyers and the magistrate.
Okay. Now we're going to talk more about the training. I personally saw in fact, when we come off our first break, I definitely want to talk about how persons can get in contact with you guys. Today, persons can purchase a firearm, a legal firearm, for use of hunting. All right, for use of hunting. I remember some years ago, I attended, I'm still a part of the Bahamas National Trust. So they had one of the officers came in and talk about that we weren't allowed anymore to discharge your weapons. There's no hunting or there's no, the list goes on. And he said, well, if we see you, the officer has the right to confiscate your weapon, charge you, or whatever the case is. And so we come to a point now, we've been in, COVID now for the last 2 years. So the average person who owns a licensed firearm has definitely not been able to use it. So it's been sitting there. As we were talking earlier, the average person that purchased a firearm does not even know how to use it unless they, someone carries them in the bush somewhere. They're shooting some bottles or whatever the case. And of course, we've had many injuries of that because persons not knowing how to properly use your firearm. And so I want you guys to talk about that, the service that you ought to be training, also the compound that is accessible for you. Go ahead.
Well, one thing is the purchase of legal firearms. Believe it or not, we are close to over 30,000 licensed firearm holders in the country, and about 80% of them have never shot their firearm. Believe it or not, we have persons come to us 5-7 years. They say they bought it, took it home, put it in the safe, and that was it.
Bird fly past their house,
and they have not shot it from they have purchased it, but they pay the license fees every year. Right, so the firearm is licensed, but training and use of the firearm, they have no clue. And what we offer persons the ability to train with their firearms, to shoot it in a safe location. We would give that to them once they get our contact information. We won't give that information over the air.
Right.
They can also learn how to clean, store the weapon properly, store the ammunition properly, safe practices when shooting with others. We offer all of that. We also just become a part of the NFA, which is a new group regulated in the Bahamas as a nonprofit called the National Firearms Association. And we invite those to go online and look up the NFA, the National Firearms Association. And we will also be offering training through the National Firearms Association as well.
Okay.
All right. And we inviting persons from the general public, especially licensed firearm holders, to become a member of the NFA. And so we can continue to have safe practices with licensed firearms, so they can know how to store them properly in their home so they won't be stolen, and a lot of the safety things that go along with owning a firearm. And so we also, right now, we offer through our group, Alpha 242. You can go online and you can see it on Facebook. You could see we document a lot of our training, and a lot of females come out and learn how to shoot, which is good, because usually when you hear about firearms in the Bahamas, because of our culture, it's always in a negative light.
Yeah.
And usually it's either a police-involved shooting, a armed robbery, or a murder. But around the world, firearms are looked at as a sport. They have clay shooting competitions, they have sport shooting competitions, they have target shooting competitions, they have hunting, just recreation. And so what we are trying to do through this initiative is basically show that firearms are not bad. And so when we hear about firearms going forward in the future, we want to hear about it in a positive light. I've been around firearms from 1988. And to me, it's like breathing. It doesn't move me because I look at it through a different light because I've been exposed. And you have a lot of other persons in the country who have also been exposed to it. And so when they hear about firearms, they don't have the same fear and the same anxieties. But if you have never been around a firearm and only thing you hear about a firearm is on the evening news, someone's life is taken, you kind of look when you hear about firearms and then you take it in a negative light. You don't even want to hear the other side of it. It's a firearm. We don't want anything to do with it because the only thing you hear about firearm being used for is in the commission of a crime.
There you go. For those who are tuning in, you're listening to the Hit Back Show on 96.9 FM. Yes, it's a different voice. This is our DJ Counsellor sitting in for my good friend Haja Black. And so we are talking about personal power and ways that you can, defend yourself legally in a country that is definitely heading in a direction that needs to be looked at. And so we're talking with two professionals, security, not officers, I would say. What would you consider yourself? Security professionals?
Security specialists.
Yes, security specialists, all right? And that's Mr. Marlin Young and Mr. Virgil Thurston. We come back right after this break. We're going to come back and continue to dive in, man. Don't forget to text us at 422-4796 or give us a call at 323-6232. See you back right after the break.
Burger King Nassau is taking spice to new heights with the new Baja Whopper and Baja Crispy Chicken Sandwiches. Enjoy your choice of a flame-grilled Whopper or a crispy chicken filet topped with chipotle sauce, guacamole, jalapenos, cheese, lettuce, and tomato, all on a fresh potato bun. The new Baja sandwiches at Burger King Nassau pack plenty of flavor, and with an ice-cold Pepsi and fries or onion rings, it's the perfect way to fill your day. The Baja Whopper and Baja Crispy Chicken Sandwich are only available at Burger King Nassau, where taste is king.
When I got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
This is Guardian Radio, 96 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Natasha Black. It's the Hit Back with Natasha Black. It's the Hit Back with Natasha Black. It's the Hit Back with Natasha Black.
Welcome back here on the Hit Back. And this is DJ Counsellor sitting in the chair here today, and our text line is 422-4796. Once again, 422-4796. And our lines, our telephone lines are 323-6232, 325-4716, 325-421, And we do have a call. Badus, you can send that through for me, please.
Hello.
Hi. Good day, sir. How you doing?
A pleasant good evening, everybody.
Good evening. How you doing, man?
I guess you might know this voice.
Definitely. The whole country knows this voice.
Let me ask you a question. You ever have something called a word, but they call the truth? Truth.
Yes, sir.
The truth.
Yes, sir.
One thing I found out my 70 years on this little in this little commonwealth of the Bahamas, we don't like the truth. We embedded with a bunch of lies. And I admire the young man that you got there going on there. Let me ask you a question.
Appreciate it.
I could go and get me not a rifle. I could maybe get a rifle, but I could get a shotgun that gives me a license to go shoot ducks. They know what I'm talking about in your place. I could get a license to go shoot ducks. Where do we have any ducks running where I could go shoot?
Andres, sir.
I gotta go to Andres to go shoot the ducks.
Yeah, sir.
So why would I get a license in New Providence to go shoot ducks? But I live in New Providence, but I can't shoot no ducks in New Providence.
These are the things that we have to deal with. It's the country we live in.
No. You know, I see. Look at would y'all give me time to talk the truth today?
Go ahead, man.
You know exactly. But all this shooting and people killing one another. People on the street got more guns than the police and the defense force got. The young man on the street here got more guns than the people in the prison, I mean the overseers got, the defense force got, and the police department got. They got more guns on the street. Where do the guns come from? After all these years, nobody know where the guns come from. Nobody know where the cocaine come from. Nobody know where the marijuana come from. And guess what? That's lies, because they know where they come from. And you know they know where they come from.
Yeah.
Most of them are part of the whole deal where they come from. It's been going on for I was a 19-year-old boy on Monroe Avenue.
Yes, sir.
The police know. The defense force know. The overseers know. Because overseers getting arrested for carrying drugs into prison.
Well, in defense of our armed services, they're requiring the public to assist them in identifying the apps or the boats that may be bringing these in, or individuals you may know be coming in. So you get, listen, man, Sparky, you can call them 919. They have special units for that. And so if anyone who's known, as Sparky says, everybody know. But if you happen to know, ladies and gentlemen, as long as we continue to have these high-powered machines in, we at risk, man, because my understanding some of these guns are so powerful, they go through me, you, the three people inside the studio, the wooden house with a mile away and keep going. You know what I mean? And so I remember going to the scene after what happened in Fox Hill some years ago, speaking to one of the young constables, and he looked at me and say, boy, or you get 5 on me. That's it. There's a pow. These fellas, them guns they use, and they go through, engine block. You know what I mean? And so, you know, it's very true, Sparky. You know, it seems that that there's more. That it seems that there's more, but we do have a trained police and defense force out there, and like our commissioners have keep saying, you know, if you come and please surrender and go through the process, you know what I mean? And so we're hoping that the message can reach out there. How come we haven't had a gun amnesty in the last 15 years, eh?
Probably longer.
Longer than that.
Yeah, that's yeah, boy, that's strange. We haven't had one of those in a lot. There were times there's a pay for these guns, eh?
Your pastor, or you go to your pastor and
turn them in,
assist you and turn it in without you showing your face or presenting your name.
Yeah. Marlin, I want you to share your story, man. You using a non-lethal. Of course, security does get to see action here in the Bahamas all the time because, again, they're the first ones on the scene. I remember one time I was at the mall at Marathon. There was a dispute in the parking lot. And I stood and witnessed this, you know, and I saw the security officer ran out the mall and tackled one of the individuals who's beating this girl and put him in I guess he knew jiu-jitsu, put him in a hole and held him there until the police come, you know. But the danger of that is, you know, you're in a crowd of individuals, you on the ground on top of this man, the back of your head is exposed, your back is exposed, and I'm sitting there like, wow, you know, even the men and women who was with him didn't even know what to do from there. But he was a skilled martial artist, you know what I mean. And so let's talk about, you know, what I guess what all you've experienced on the job so far. Things that you can say legally. Yeah.
Let's go with the most simplest one. It came to a poor final situation where a gentleman died in this situation. That's okay. Sum it up. A birthday party that was invite only turned into an open party where they're receiving funds. New boyfriend bucked old boyfriend. Situation ensued. We put out the old boyfriend. Gentleman came back. He surpassed our security search. He changed his outfit and everything. He got past our security. He was checked, full pat down. He had changed his clothes, so the security at the gate didn't recognize him anymore. Out of the 280 individuals that were there, he then went to a corner and someone threw a knife over the wall. He proceeded to go to the new boyfriend and stab this gentleman point blank in the chest. Myself and my individuals, what was supposed to be a private party, and we only had security to be able to handle that amount, turned into 280 people and only got 5 to 6 security officers.
Wow.
Yeah, so basically, I myself, most people know me around Nassau, most of Bahamas. I invest into my non-lethals. At this time, I had to choose which one was the best unit at the time, which was a mace canister. If everybody knows, it's something this one looks like a fire extinguisher.
Right, that's a SWAT one.
That's the SWAT one.
Yeah.
This is the hardest thing on the market. Even then, you have to be very careful as to where you pull that out and the use of it. At this time, the fact that a weapon was brought out and was going to be used, I tried to get the gentleman, but he got the other gentleman before me. But he also had friends inside there. They had a big fight. We're talking over 60 to 80 people fighting.
Wow.
The Royal Rumble. So, this is the time to hesitate, pull the pin on it. Now, only those that were fighting, I put this particular protocol on. In less than 2 minutes, 280 people were cleared. I sprayed that gentleman directly in the face. He was down for the count. He was on the floor. His worries were, his eyes were burning, lung capacity was incapacitated.
Yeah.
He was in handcuffs. That was, at that particular time, that was the best I could do at the time. Other individuals went 4 corners of the location just to get away.
Yeah.
Everybody looking for water, means to get the routes. But, unfortunately, gentleman died. It's unfortunate. But I had the...
perpetrator in custody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
He did. My thing is, and I always try to talk to young men, to try to get their understanding. Not just their understanding, but, for every action, there's a reaction. You pull a knife out and you stab somebody, anywhere in the chest area, neck, that's attempted murder if the person lives.
Yes.
Like, for what? So you're going to kill a young lady or a young man, for whatever the situation is, for what? You're going to jail now. You're going to find hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next 5 to 10 years of your life, fighting for your life now to stay out of jail. Versus you taking somebody's life and you don't know when someone coming to take your life. Like, we have to come to a point of reasoning as Bahamians. And so I always tell young men all the time, and this is what has kept me over the years, all right? I'm a normal man like everybody else, all right? Thank God for the blood of Jesus, all right? And so I found myself in situations where I lost my temper, but guess what? Caught it very quickly too. And I realize when you don't have a level of discipline in your life, oh my God, you're in problems. Because now you got to come to a point now you got to prove yourself to your friends or to somebody else. And so at the end of the day, you got to have a standard, man. Your standard says the type of woman or man you're going to date. That prevents the issues that coming along with it. And so, and this is what I like about conversation. You meet a young lady and she is still cozy with her ex, all right? And now you feel that you're in competition. And so me, Virgil, listen to me. Virgil, the only competition I've been in my life that I know of was when I went on the track and field or on the mat to compete in the karate tournament. All right? That's it. And so from our conversation, from when I see that, what's the new thing now? Red flag. That's a red flag. You know what I mean? With our dating process, and we find ourselves in an argument, why this dude calling you? You know what I can do? I exit myself out of that. And this is what has kept El Nathan Corey Jabbar from out of the police hands. Listen to me, and I have no shame in saying this. There's nobody with breath in their body. What? Me getting that type of trouble. None. And so I have said this, and I always say this to young persons. That anybody who has an ear to hear, anybody in your life has the right to walk out of your life without your consent. Anybody. I don't care how much years you've been with this individual. I don't care that if you cried at the altar, you own nobody. That is not your property. And so when somebody wakes up and say, you know what? I want to have a different taste of somebody else. And that disrupts you, upsets you. I talk about disrespect and the list goes on. You walk away. That means that time is up for that individual. You know what I mean? And if you don't grab within yourself and even have this logic conversation with you to say, you know what, with yourself, that you know what, if this do, you have to prepare yourself mentally, because why? Human beings are special creatures. We are very special. We had some men who walked with Jesus, saw miracles with him and still deny him. So who's you? Who's you? And so we have to come to the point, man, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to talk about some of the things that are leading in our papers today, especially in The Guardian, where we had a young lady that lost her life. And according to what's already out in public domain, it was not the first domestic issue between them two.
They already had like 4 red flags.
See that? You know what I mean? And so, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me, man. We're gonna get into that, because sitting before me are 2 senior men. They're older than me. These men being around much longer than me. All right. And so there has to come to a point as young men, you got to start finding men to be around so you can learn how to be a man. There's certain things men just don't do. But the only way you can learn to be a man is you got to be around, man teach man how to be a man. And so at the end of the day, I had to correct a young man, oh, boy, girl can do this to me. I said, bro, a girl can do what she want to do for you. It's what you allow. And so when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about some of the things hitting our headlines, but we're going to come for a point where we're going to give some insight to our young men, man. Even to our young women when it comes to dating, when it comes to having these toxicity around, these toxic issues. Yeah, man, we got to stay alive, man. We got to help others. You know what I mean? Some things are preventable. We're talking about personal power on the hit back right here on 96.9. This is DJ Counsellor sitting in the chair for Nahaja Black. We got 2 security professionals in here, man. We're going to come back and have an exciting talk. Please give us a call. Our text number is 422-4796, or give us a call at 323-6232. God bless.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back here on the Hit Back. This is yours truly, DJ Counsellor, sitting in the chair here today. And of course, we are going to talk about some of the things that are pressing nationally here in the Guardian. Not dead. And of course, we've had that story circulating. And also 3 died after Long Island car crash. Oh my God. And also we have our schools ready to open. Teachers are told to call in. Does it ever end, ladies and gentlemen? Does it ever end? Does it ever end?
Well, I'll address the issue with the alleged with the shooting, but I want to piggyback on what Mr. Young was said about the incident with using the non-lethal in a situation where the security officer were outnumbered basically more than probably 15 to 1.
Yeah.
Having a strong private security sector is paramount to national security.
Why?
It is because it gives your police officers more manpower to address issues and to address even community policing. Because you would realize in this country, if you move around, you would see that the police force is heavily involved in the private security sector.
Yeah.
So if you go to stores, banks, other institutions, you would see police officers in these areas conducting security duties. Now, if you have a professionally trained security force, the same function those police officers provide at a bank, at a food store, can be done by a professional security force. So legislation, again, there is key. The standards for security officers, in my humble opinion, needs to be raised. More should be brought to the table to get a security license and to operate as a security officer. I think the bar is too low. We have jurisdictions right next door, Florida, Georgia in the United States of America has a very excellent program when it comes to vetting persons for security duties. Because realize now, when you get a security officer, he may be working an armored car, he may be protecting millions of dollars in assets. You're charging him with watching someone's life, watching someone's livelihood. So when you want to recruit persons to run this industry, work in this industry at a high level, you need to have your vetting and your training top notch. And here's the reason why police in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas are so heavily involved in security, because the private security sector as a mass is lacking in many areas. Many of us who have come out of the various disciplined forces, we are involved in private security, but we are a small number. So we can't provide the services on a mass scale because we're small in numbers and we can't reproduce ourselves.
Right.
If I come out of a disciplined force, whether it be police, defense force, immigration, customs, how many other members of my staff has that same level of commitment and discipline? So there again, if you have a high level of training programs for your private security sector, it cuts down on the amount of officers you need to fill in through the Police Staff Association to work various events. And that's why they have to be heavily involved, because the private security sector needs to get its act together as well as legislation. Because as long as it is just strictly money driven, they're just going to get bodies to fill the billet, get the contract, do the work.
Right.
But you're not going to get quality. You're not going to get persons in the industry who is going to be able to reproduce other quality security officers to carry on this, because this is a professional field anywhere else in the world.
Right.
This is a multi-billion-dollar field.
Considered a career.
Considered a career anywhere else in the world, but only in the Bahamas. You look at it as a job, and you can see the way some of the officers, when they get off duty, the way they wear the uniform, because there's nothing vested in it for them.
No pride.
Yeah, because there's nothing vested in it for them. I have a good friend, Mr. Russell. He also says to me, people move on two things: self-interest and force. So if there's nothing in there for their own self-interest, and there is nothing forcing them to comply to a standard, then the private security industry will always be in a doldrum, and it will never rise to the prominence it needs to be in terms of protection to the citizens, where it could be looked at as a national security career here in the Bahamas.
You talk about legislation. Just give us what needs to be in that.
More needs to be done in terms of the criteria to be able to get a security license, in my opinion.
Right now, to get a security license, you need a police record.
18 years of age.
Right. You
don't
need
know a financial institution and have no criminal record.
Right.
That's it.
And a couple dollars.
To pay for the license.
That's it.
Yeah.
Anyone that opens a security.
To anybody. You can be cutting here.
At one point, I thought you had to produce some kind of training certificate that you would have.
No, sir.
Oh.
No, sir.
Oh.
And herein lies the problem. So you have individuals who have not done 1 day of training in any type of security, but they may know someone who say, if you get a license, you can get a contract. I'm just being real. And so they run down to national security, they meet the criteria, they do the interview, they pass the interview with flying colors.
Pay the fee.
Pay the license fee.
There you go.
So now, which standard are they going to employ in their company to produce other security officers? What standard are they going to use, or which benchmark is going to be used by them personally for their company to produce or recreate a standard?
If they smart, they're getting a doc with you guys and get that training.
But it shouldn't be left up to the individual. That's what I'm saying. The system should set the bar. So when I come, I know I need to what I've done a certain amount of hours in training as a security officer, a certain amount of hours in training what a security company should not do. There should be something that shows that I have some idea of the industry, because you won't let me come and wire your house if I don't have a triple phase license, would you?
Sir. You shouldn't. If I have sense, I wouldn't.
If you have sense, would you let me fly you to Miami on a plane?
No, sir.
So it's the same thing. This is a professional career, because I'm watching your money, I'm watching your children, I'm watching your inheritance. So you're gonna trust me to do that without any kind of standard. But you want to put standard for me to be a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant. These are all. But the lawyer, doctor, and accountant, what do they need? Security. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
When you make your $1 million as a doctor, you have to hire what to watch that $1 million home?
Yeah.
A security officer.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. So we have it backwards. And at the end of the day, when you accumulate wealth and you rise to a certain status in life, you become a target. So, and you need security.
Yeah.
And so that's why I said the private security sector has to rise to a prominence in the country where it is looked at as a professional career, treated as such, and legislation is put in place to make it such.
And we also do have international individuals watching, searching for this type of professionalism.
Yeah, I've seen persons come over here, bring their own armored security officers into the country,
and that's our biggest client. We do most of our work is for the international community. We hardly ever do any work for the local community, because really and truly it doesn't look at you beyond. When they hear the word security, they just lump you all in one basket.
Yeah.
But on the international market, because we all have international certifications, we are in database and we are in groups and part of agencies worldwide. So on the international stage, we looked at really highly. But locally, nobody really pays much attention to us.
Yeah, I've seen persons serve, and I'm shocked that I've not heard of any Bahamians taking, especially those who coming out of our military, taking any contracts around the world. You can make up to $100,000 being a military contractor.
Anywhere in the world, most Fortune 500 companies look for ex-military.
Yeah.
I didn't say any other agency.
No.
And there's one military in the country.
Yeah.
They look for ex-military.
Yeah.
Reason being, discipline, training.
Yeah.
Because there's always a level of discipline you need to have to complete certain training within the military, because the military conducts some of the most difficult training cycles, and you're vetted mostly for some of them. Right now, I am also an explosive engineer.
Yeah.
Anyone that wants an commercial explosive license, they go to the Ministry of Works first, they're vetted through SIP, and then you have to sit through my evaluation course. Reason being is because I was trained through the military.
So if I do in a movie, I gotta apply the Ministry of Works.
All
Yes.
the pyrotechnics and all that goes through him.
Wow.
So, but you're not looked at favorably in a local market.
No.
It's all international.
Yeah. Thank God for the international.
That's why Jesus couldn't do any miracles in Nazareth.
No.
Because you're not looked at highly locally.
Not respected, not valued from your own.
Not locally.
Yeah.
I've been a part of associations for 25 plus years. Highly respected in those agencies. People call me all the time from overseas for things.
Yeah.
Paid for it.
Yeah.
But locally.
Yeah. Text messenger, I agree with the private security should be a more standardized career path as we elsewhere in the world. It is necessary. Yes, we definitely agree with that texter. Once again, if you want to text, please do. It's 422-4796. Once again, 422-4796. If you want to call, please do. 323-6232 or 325-43. We have 325-4259. There are lines. You can please give us a call. We do have about 45 minutes on, and we are definitely going to talk about what's happening here nationally. But we want to thank you there, Mrs. Stirrup, for bringing that up, man. The security business needs an overall. It needs an upgrade, and it needs a level of professionalism because it benefits our armed forces and it benefits us as the private citizen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, they're at our schools, they're at our hospitals, they're in our parking lots, they're at our churches, and if you can afford them, they'll be at your home. And so you need professional individuals who know how to execute their duties with professionalism. All right? Here we are. We have in the Guardian. Of course, everybody already knows due to social media. We had a young mother who lost her life allegedly from a boyfriend. And I do say allegedly also. I did hear a few of you getting upset when a person said that. Again, we do have a call. All right, let's go to our call.
Hey, good day. How you doing, bro?
Good day, sir. How are you?
Hey, blessed man, and good day to your guest.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Good day.
Listen, touch on the security, but before that, I want to touch on what you said earlier. I see you come back here with the young lady that was brutally killed. And then you also spoke about the, I guess y'all were touching on changing the hearts of young person or persons involved who inclined towards violence or whatever. Listen, for the change for me, and I encourage anyone is through Christ Jesus. I mean, I would have been a different person if it wasn't changed. When you want to change someone, you got to change their heart. You could take them and do whatever you want to do with them. You'll produce some change, maybe. But I've been around. I was a former police officer. I've witnessed a lot of things, and to me, it's gotten worse. I was a police in the late 80s, early 90s. I witnessed the drug era. I witnessed the Samuel Mouche McKenzie and followed his death, and that has escalated. And we see a new type of death. But these things are not new. So we could talk about it, what we could do and intervention. But when a man or a woman, when a person's heart is bent to do something, when the opportunity is there, they're going to do it. Now, whoever this young person is, I don't know who it is. I'm not going to give him a name. But that person, at some point, he had to say, he committed to do this. He maybe felt that there was no way out, and he committed to do that. But when a man is changed by Christ Jesus, he is bound to that commitment to the Lord. That doesn't mean he may not do it. But the likelihood of him doing that would be significantly reduced. And I call that's my message to society. Change people's heart, change a heart. And to the security part of it, I think the problem is if you talk about privacy, because I know a number of former police officers who are private security persons in life and they travel with them. The challenge is the local community can't afford it because once you talk about the extent of increasing that, or the cost of it, unless you're really making a lot of money, is very difficult. That costs a lot of customers. And so it's a challenge to really say, do with that. And then those who have the security firms, they're the big beneficiary because they pay the security guards little or nothing. And so, but you can't really do much with that, so you have to accept whatever you get from those particular officers because you're not willing to pay them much, but you will rake off significant amount of money off the top of it. We've seen the proliferation of security companies. And lastly, with security as well, the security really is an indication of society. I really wasn't hoping for more security. I was hoping that that day would come, and I remember there wasn't much security guards. There was a lot of safety. So I believe that if we change the heart of persons, there'll be a less need for security, and we won't have to be talking about how much more security we need. Hey, thanks for your time, man. God bless.
Thank you, caller. One of the things I want to say that our guests were talking about raising the bar as persons who are getting licensed, which we cannot deny. If it requires more for an individual to get a license, which means that person needs to be trained, qualified company, and also assure that his officers are also trained and qualified. Because if a man, for instance, who has done his tours with the Royal Bahamas Defense Force or done his years in the police, or even but I would say prison, they already have a level of training. That's something they could pass on. But I don't think we want to discredit the fact that is not important. It's critically important. And so in churches, we train ushers. We train greeters. You know what I'm saying? A pastor goes off for training. A coach, an NGO American Embassy and the rest of those create training. The governor of the Bahamas creates training for individuals who are working in these communities because training is critical, it's important. How do I deal with a child that is being molested? You know what I mean? As a youth leader, as an NGO, when that's reported to you, you have to report it to what? To the police. There's training for that on how you deal with even counseling, and the list goes on. And so I understand where you're coming from, but I think you miss where our professionals were talking about pertaining to. We do have a call. Let's go to our call.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. This is Mr. King here.
How you doing, Mr. King?
I'm doing well. Virgil and Mr. Marlin, everything that you said rings wonderfully well. But I have a question. While I support our local police department, but as a person with military experience, what are your thoughts on the actual police not being actually equipped to do close protection work? Because from what I've seen in the U.S., even our police departments in the U.S. cannot do close protection. So, of course, they do a wonderful job in policing, but do you see that as being not the same as close protection?
Well, I would agree with you that close protection is a completely different field in the security field. It is part of security, but it's a specialized field. I myself am a trained CPO, we call a close protection officer. Most people don't know what that means, but it is actually means bodyguard. It's a term for the bodyguard as a CPO, close protection officer. Marlin as well as a close protection officer. And it is a specialized field. And not because you were in law enforcement or the military means you know how to do close protection. It is a specialized field.
Yeah.
Again, this is what I'm saying. Once it has the name security attached to it, in this country, once you are part of the military or the law enforcement, they stick you to do it. But that is not the way it's done. Many different fields within the security fields.
Yeah, you get surveillance and the list goes on.
Right.
Yeah.
So Marlin is a counter surveillance trained person. You just can't grab anybody from the police force and say, okay, let's go do some counter surveillance. You have to be trained.
Yeah.
What is close protection? If you ask most persons in the military and the police force, they cannot tell you what close protection is. All they say is bodyguard and protecting somebody. But they cannot tell you what close protection is.
And there are different levels of close protection.
Close protection.
I provide support where Mr. Stirrup is close protection. He's in the bubble. I do support where if anything comes around, they escape, and I support that. You understand? This is my role, but it's another part of close protection. We have to train for these different individuals, places, but at the same time we can switch because the training levels us up to where we need to be, and we can assist each other.
Right. So most of the fields in security, you would see I want to speak for the Bahamas. In the Bahamas, we just grab persons because they are part of either the military or the police, and we say, go and do this task. But it doesn't work like that in most countries, as the caller is alluding to. In close protection, you must have completed close protection training.
Right. And be certified.
And so I agree with the caller wholeheartedly that not because you are a member of a law enforcement agency or a military that you are qualified or certified to conduct close protection operation. But again, it boils down to the money. There's money involved in it.
Yeah.
And so once there's money involved, persons are going to do it. And the argument is going to be, well, nothing has never happened. And that is an argument that has been used every time we go to the table to discuss anything in upgrading the security industry. The first thing the powers that be in the decision makers ask you, well, why do we need to pump money into this? Because nothing has never happened. And so, but they don't next level a person in prevention. Because once you have trained persons in place, they prevent things from happening. And as your training drops, you will see your crime level rises, and you will see things start to happen in your country that have never happened before, because you're now not paying attention to details as you were before. And you ask the question, has anything changed in the force? The training has remained the same. But a lot of areas within the force that when I was there in the agency, they don't pay attention to it. Dress is one. The way I see some of the Marines dressed today, I could have never gotten away with that. Underneath the Clifford Butzkowala, underneath the Eddie Bain, underneath the Marty Davis, under Stanley Pitt, an Oral Wood, a Simeon Gardner. Simmons stuff. I could have never gotten away with things like that. Peter Wiley, while rest his soul, he's passed away. I remember when we used to work at the gate, we used to have an inspection. I mean, that thing was intense. But now you don't see that same level of attention to detail. But the training is there. But the level of attention to the details. When I came on as a young Marine, I don't see, you see Marines walking with hot salt, with the top off, eating in uniform in the street, smoking a cigarette, drinking from a bottle, walking the street. That never happened. But during my time. And
once that uniform is on, a certain code of conduct must continue.
You represent the department and the
country.
facility. The country.
And the country. You represent the flag, basically, is what we used to say. You represent the flag. When I used to work government house, we were the cleanest thing on earth. That was the level of pride that was taking place. So in everything that we do is now basically sad to say worldwide, it is money driven. And once there is money involved, people don't pay much attention to, I need a trained person to do this. Once that person can get the job done, unfortunately, that's what's going on right now.
We do have somebody calling our text line. Just to let you know, it's called a text line, which we need you to text, not to call the line. It's a 361 number. So can you please text that line at 422-4796. If you want to give us a call us on 323-6232. We do have another call. Send a call through with me, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's good to hear gentlemen inside the studio because that's what we're lacking all around. Gentlemen with standards. And you keep on repeating the same word, standards. So kudos to all the mothers out there. In spite of not having a man around, they were able to raise children with standards.
Yes,
If everyone has standards, then we'll have better standards all around. We wouldn't need all of this so-called, quote-unquote, security. And the first security should be done in the home. The male figure is the first line of security for his children. Whenever my boys did wrong, when their daddy come home, daddy so-and-so did such, you get all of us together. So it's that if mommy's saying the truth, oh, yeah, daddy, sometimes some mothers they lie. And guess what? But some mothers need to stop cloaking these children when they're doing wrong and let the daddy handle them. And once the daddy don't kill them and abuse them and such, get to a point where the husbands can't beat you no more. What they need to do is just let them do push-ups. Do push-ups and let them use their strength against them, and they will correct themselves fast. So thank you, and let's remember, like you said, standards. There's a time people never walk around with cigarettes if you're an officer. Now you find people doing all kind of crap. So therefore, let's continue to do well, and let's address the alcohol, the marijuana, all this different stuff. Everyone can't handle those stuff. Some can, but not everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, caller. That's right, man. There's various ways that you can discipline your children other than beating them. Of course, it's against the law to beat a child to the point where they are bruised or bleeding. And so if you're going to discipline your children, please remember discipline and love. And like our caller said, that has definitely been lacking. We need women, our ladies, man, listen, man, we got to level up. All right. Now back to we definitely don't want to close the show without sharing some light on the tragedy that has happened on the weekend. A young mother shot dead. A woman's boyfriend also shot himself, the police say. All right. We want to definitely share that. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, man, especially our ladies, you listen, the red flag thing right now is what's trending. And anytime you see a red flag, you should always be concerned. And one of the things like our caller mentioned about, having a standard, man. A standard is critical and is important. Listen, even though you see a young lady you're attracted to, you want badly, you want date her, oh boy, I want wife her, and the list goes on, whatever terminology you want to use. You know what I mean? Listen, if you're looking at a wife in somebody, listen, man, you gotta bring something to the table.
Yes.
Yeah, man, you gotta bring something to the table. Because that beauty with age, that is, it don't wither. It goes off in the sunlight. So her beauty should come from where first? Inward. You notice to find a young lady who's beautiful with inside. First and foremost. Oh my God. And so young men, we have to look for something of substance. There was a time where where you bring a young lady home or you bring a young man home, your parents is asked a very serious question. You know this ask? Who their people is? Who your people is? And my dog breeders out there know what that means. You know who your lineage is, who your bloodline is. Because that also contributes to what you're carrying home. You have to be aware of what you're going to be bringing children in this world to and from. And so one of the things I want to encourage even our young ladies, man, listen to me very carefully. You can't be laying down with no dude right now, ladies and gentlemen, and a man don't have the basic understanding of what a man is. You could look at a man and see if he's a man. Because men walk and look and speak a certain way. I didn't say a male, I said a man. And so, ladies, you have to now come to the point now, and I know, and I can joke about this, and I say, gentlemen, you all know that if every black woman was to marry a man, we still have 2 million ladies now available with no man. Yeah.
Yes.
Probably more.
There you go, probably more. But it's that.
You still got to vet.
You got to vet them. You got to pass the qualification. And so I watched some of my sisters in the church, getting of age now, you know what I mean, in their 30s. They ain't got no man to carry home. So they do desperate things. They look for the nearest thing that look like sensible, but they fingers crossed. And many of them get into marriage with hopes of changing somebody. Listen to me, that is the most ignorant mindset you could ever have. And anybody can tell you. And I just tell my young men all the time, when you look like these women, there's 2 things I need you to put in your head right now. First and foremost, love a woman who loves God. Second, please wait and see if you can live with those faults. Because every one of us have faults, have flaws. You know what I mean? And so, have you seen her jealous? Don't ever marry anybody who you have never seen jealous. You gotta make sure you can handle that level of jealousy. Don't ever marry or get even involved in don't even call nobody your baby and boo. You want to just promote people so quickly, man. Just promotion, bam. Listen, ladies, when you can't keep giving up the cookie to any little thing but walking past. You gotta have a standard. Because I mean, watching my sisters right now, I talk about on a real struggle. And Marlin is get serious, because right now, when you have a child, and then you have 2, them children gotta eat. And see, this is what no one is talking about on why we have so many of our young ladies staying in connect and not running away from these abusive relationships, because many of them on survival mode. Go ahead, Marlin.
Just speaking from the gentleman's side, have you noticed that women come with such a big, long list of what they want, specialize or be perfect in?
Yeah, man.
But now the question is, that list that you bring, can you fit those criteria?
When that conversation comes up, it goes quiet. I've done it, Marlin. I've done it. I've been single long.
I'm 19 years here. Now, hold on.
I embarrass you, man.
Hold on now. Hey?
I was single.
I mean, Lucha, man. I cook, clean, and wash myself. And I can't be a Lucha man. I only can speak for the Lucha.
There you go.
Not yet.
So you're trying to say, some man can't cook?
Hey, I only can speak
all right,
for
anyway,
all right?
Go ahead.
But now, if we can do that, right? And we also cater and we respect you as a lady, right? What else do you bring to the table?
She pretty.
I don't need pretty.
She pretty.
But I would like to take the conversation into another direction. And I want to say something as it relates especially to about our young men. I was at a church last week Wednesday, and it looked like a sister and a brother. The parents dropped them to the church. They were parking. The son didn't look he wanted to come to church. This is in the middle of the week now.
Yeah.
He probably got friends. He got something else he wanted to do. So when he got to the church door, the sister said, "Come on, come inside." He fired an expletive. And that's not what I want to talk about. It was a couple of us, they're senior men. No one said anything. So I looked at them. And I said, "Young man, did you just curse?" And he said, "No." And in the stern was, I said, "Young man, you just fired a curse word." And he said, "Yes, sir." You know what the problem is? That young man would have not been challenged if I was not there. You know what his next move would be next time he's at the church door? he was going to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
If he cursed that time and in the presence of senior persons and no one addressed him, his level of disrespect is not going to stay there.
No.
It's going to rise.
Yeah.
So the area I want to take this in is that we as the seniors in the community, we have failed them.
Yeah.
So when you see persons 10 and 12 years down the road committing certain things, it's because when we had an opportunity to connect with them and correct them in the early stages, we didn't. You always hear the song "Bend the Tree While It's Young."
Yeah.
What we are trying to do now is trying to bend some old trees.
Yeah.
They're not going to bend. Another situation is I was driving my daughters to school when they were very young. A lady pulled up to the school playing loud music. It wasn't the fact that the music was extremely loud and the little child was in the back. What was being played.
Yeah.
And I went up, I say, you know, there are little children here and there's some elderly people here. And she
blessed you.
She blessed me more than the music was blessing me.
Yeah.
Now, that little child saw that.
Mm-hmm.
So what you think is going to happen with that little child now, 10 or 12 years?
Cuss out the teachers.
Down So what we are doing is we are addressing the issue at hand as it is happening.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the seeds? What about the mother that says to the stepfather, "He ain't your child"?
Yeah.
What about the father that drinks and smokes and curses and So now 12, 15, 20 years down the road, we're now asking people to operate outside of their environment and their conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't look at these things that we plant as parents, that we do as adults, and then we blame the same persons we may have affected 10, 15 years ago. And then we blame them and say, look what he did. But it was the seed that you planted.
Yeah.
It was the behavior that you displayed.
You know what it is? Tying my jail and getting involved.
No, sometimes is even done in the presence of their own children.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that child in that car seat was the sibling or the offspring of that young lady.
Very true.
So, and even this week, I was in another area. There was some young men were picking some coconuts, and the lady pulled up. She wanted some coconuts from the young men. She had some young children in the car, and the way she was asking for the coconut, she was saying every 2 words, 1.5 was a curse. And these children range from the age of 6 to 13.
And now you wonder why the young man can go
right.
So outside the church walking in this cuss.
Right. So forward that now 10 years from that day. That 6-year-old is now 16.
Yeah.
That 13-year-old is now 20.
There you go.
They do some things, and then we want to hop on that 10 and that. Yeah. But what about the 40 and the 50-year-old that planted the seed in them 10 or 15 years prior?
There you go.
And so that's how we need to look at the situation. It all begins again with us as the adults. What have we passed on? And that's why we're speaking the same way from the security sector.
Yeah.
If I don't bring anything to the table as an owner of a security concern to my officers.
Nothing.
And we also, even though we do security, we do mental.
Right.
You know, we have young individuals coming out of school, and they're either going in the defense force, the police force, customs, immigrations. They need a skill set.
Mm-hmm.
The defense force, police force, some may have to interact with firearms. But now you still have to have that discipline and safety. You understand?
Because the same little 10-year-old is now joining our police and defense force, who has no discipline, has no love or reverence for God, and now we expect this young man to carry himself in a certain particular way. And as we can see on a regular basis, our same gentlemen on our forces are being charged and carried before the courts for committing, these heinous crimes. We do have our text line. We do have a text already that says our private security officers are allowed to carry firearms. If not, why not? Are you seeking to change the legislation if required? Go ahead, speak to that, please.
At the present time, I can speak for myself. Most people know me. I have done 8 years with a private web shop. I can't call the name, but they know me for being on a armor truck. I've also been called the ballhead mercenary with 3 guns on another local show.
Okay.
But at that particular level, I was carrying a firearm. Now, to your standard level, which is a static post or guard that some say opens the door or whatever else, no. No. Individuals don't see the need for it. Whereas we want to train. And if it comes to pass where you go to a high level in security, it can't happen.
We do have another a text here that says, "Good evening, gents. Question: Are you hiring part-time?"
Not presently at this time because we have gone more away from the actual security side of things, and we have more gone into training. And so most of the persons that are part of our team are veterans, experienced persons that act as instructors.
Okay.
And so most of the persons that are part of the team bring some level of expertise, because we are now into more a mentorship type situation where we do more training as opposed to actual security operations. Because our aim and our goal is to push training to bring a higher level of standard to the industry.
Yeah.
Because we can't really go to the powers that be, to the legislators, and ask for certain things when you don't have persons to fill those billets.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that we bring a level of training and convince major firms that, hey, if you're going to advertise close protection, if you're going to advertise armed security officers, if you look in the newspaper, you'll see we provide armed security officers. Go look at the security ads. Most security companies, most of the security companies say that we provide this, we provide that. And I've been to some security companies. These guns are rusted and look like they were around from Christopher Columbus days, which means that they don't even have somebody there who's a general armorer that can keep the firearms clean.
My Lord.
And so
it could be in a different way.
Right. So what I'm saying is we have now more gone into the training side of things because we want to bring a standard to the industry. So when we start to lobby for things for the security field, that the powers that be and even the customers would rest assured that, hey, I'm getting a quality product for my money.
Yeah, very good. We do have another text here. I'm going to try to understand this. Good afternoon, all powerful men. Powerful men owe some contributions by you all. All right, so I don't know. Yeah. Thank you, Texer. We do have a few minutes on, so if you want to definitely text, you can hit us up at 422-4796. Once again, do not call this number, only text. 422-4796. Do not WhatsApp, only text. All right, 422-4796. So give us a call, 323-6232. You listen to Hit Back with yours truly, DJ Counsellor, with our guest in studio, man. We're talking about personal power. What can you do to continue to protect yourself and enjoy this beautiful island called the Bahamas, man, the place where God lives? Stick and stay. Be right back after these commercials. Blessed love every time. Oh, so godly.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Throughout our lifetime, we must all make decisions. No matter how we choose, the right one just needs to be made. Like having J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers as your insurance partner. We've been serving the Bahamas for over 100 years. Whether you need home, motor, marine, or commercial insurance, make the right decision. Call 397-2100 or visit jsjohnson.com.
J.S. Johnson Insurance. Peace of mind.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
We know how important collecting your money can be to the success of your business. Start your relationship with Fidelity today so that we can show you the many options available to you with our merchant services. From click and pay options online to merchant terminals and e-commerce options. We're here to help your business succeed. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with the hash of black.
Welcome back here to the Hit Back. That's right. We're right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. This is DJ Counsellor sitting in the chair here today. We have our two guests who are talking about personal power. They're in the security business, and we've been talking about the importance of raising the bar in the security business. They also provide specific services on training civilians with their own licensed firearms, whether it's a shotgun, a rifle, or even if you've been issued a personal handgun, they also provide that training also. And the list goes on. We did have a caller, a texter that wanted to know if security officers are allowed to carry lethal weapons as a gun.
Well, right now, in the security field, you would see the armored trucks carrying shotguns. They are registered as bonded couriers. Now, security companies do have the ability to register firearms under their security license to carry out specific tasks. And that is done through the Office of the Commissioner, through Ministry of National Security. So, yes, security officers can be issued firearms, but it has to be done through these with permission, of course, from the Commissioner of Police. So it is allowed under certain circumstances, and it has to be authorized.
Okay, I hope that answers this question. While you have anything you want to say on that?
And also, you do have to go through training in order to carry said firearm once you receive this.
Okay.
Once again, you have to train.
Yeah.
There's no getting around it, because you're now out in the public with a firearm.
And go back to a question that was asked earlier about close protection training. It's the same thing, because once you get into certain fields, training is key. You will see someone carrying a firearm, and then you ask them, when was the last time you shot that firearm? And even from some of the armed forces. And they say, well, I haven't been on the range in 5 years or 3 years or 4 years. But yet you're still carrying a firearm. And that's why I love the U.S. system so much, because you cannot go over a certain amount of time without actually shooting that firearm and requalifying. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing close protection, it's every 30 days. You must shoot every 30 days. If you don't shoot in 30 days, you're not qualified to be on a protective detail.
Wow.
Because remember now, you're moving with a human life in a public forum. Accuracy of shot placement is key.
Wow.
So if you haven't shot a firearm in 3 to 5 years, what type of accuracy do you think you have? You have none.
And some of these people are governors, magistrates, up to presidents.
So you have no accuracy. Shooting is a perishable skill.
Yeah.
It's a perishable skill. We have gun, and they couldn't hit a target if you pay them. And this is their own personal shotguns that they have, personal rifles. I haven't shot in 5 years, but I'm a good shot. Then you give them some tasks that officers should be able to carry out: walking and shooting, moving and shooting, shooting from behind barriers. You could stand there and you could be the target and they couldn't hit you.
Wow. So
training, like Mr. Young says, is key, is paramount. Yeah. And again, it goes back to finances. When the budget is placed and you see how much money it'll cost you to have officers shooting on a regular basis, the financial man is going to look at that and he's going to say, you know what, we could push this money into another area. Yeah. So again, it goes into finances again, because training is expensive. Mm-hmm. Equipment is expensive. And that's why you would see Even with the non-lethals, you only see the local stores carrying the little pepper spray and the little canisters and the little tasers because they're the cheapest non-lethal things that you can get. When you start talking about now security type non-needles and like the canisters, the mace canisters and stuff like that, and the large canisters of pepper gas stuff, these things cost hundreds of dollars.
Do we have in legislation the permission as a security officer to carry that?
I spoke to someone in customs concerning the non-lethal. There is no legislation per se. It is permitted.
But it's silent, eh?
It's permitted. And it's not just non-lethals. There are other things. I didn't even know that novelty toys are illegal in the country.
Whoa.
But they are permitted.
They're illegal, but they are permitted.
They're permitted.
Powerful.
They're permitted. But they can confiscate them if they wish. I'm saying so some things are just permitted.
Yeah.
But they're not legislated.
And then it's left to the
Discretion.
of the officer. So this is why, means you gotta be a little more nicer, man. You always want to yuck out the phone and start screaming at the officer, and you even know that you carrying these little funny things in your car and get yourself locked up.
Yeah, they certain things are permitted.
Yeah.
Because I guess they say there's no harm with the little pepper tongue on the chin. Yeah. It's permitted.
Yeah.
But legislation is what we need.
Yeah.
And we have so many persons being promoted up the ranks in all the various agencies in the country. I think emphasis needs to be placed by these persons as they're promoted to push legislation.
You know what it is, though? It's not enough persons talking about it. See, we just came out of an election season. How many persons sat down and say, that MP, sir, I mean, we're given a gun license. You know we ain't getting nothing to hunt in Nassau. So why all this, you know what I mean? We're not having the conversation with those in Parliament. We're not having the right conversations. And so we have to educate ourselves as the population, you know, as civilians, as persons in our communities. Kudos to the police force and when it comes to community policing and all the stuff they've been doing with the neighborhood watch. That is an awesome operation that is continuing to grow. And so kudos to Superintendent Brown and everybody else who is working along with that. But we have to now have the conversations with the parliamentarians pertaining to these things.
So that's why we're encouraging everybody to join the NFA, the National Firearms Association. You can Google it online. It's Bahamian. And we have some good programs that we are pushing in this organization. This is going to give us the lobbying powers. Is going to give us the platform to have these discussions that you're talking about. And so, if it's not seen, it is out of sight. And so, if we become a part of these organizations,
consent.
Correct.
That means we're happy the way of the status quo right now.
Where it's going. And so, if we join the NFA, which I think is a powerful tool, and thanks to Gordon. Shout out to Gordon for establishing this, and you're going to have a chance to meet him, and probably he'll come on the show and talk more about it. We are looking to really push training, especially for the 30,000+ licensed firearms that are out there in the country. We want persons to look at a firearm in a more positive light. And so that's our thing, pushing training.
We do have a few persons who are texting in. I agree with the private security. Should be more standardized career path as we see elsewhere in the world. It is necessary. Also, can you ask the gentleman what is their view on the right to bear arms as a right of self-defense? Now, me personally, I'll say mine before you get ready because you speaking like a politician. You careful how you threaten these things, all right? And that's fine, all right? But me personally, I don't see a reason why if only the bad guys and the police force and majority of them only have that on when they working, we have a problem. So literally you're sitting duck at home that can't properly defend themselves. So you're a businessman, can't walk around with a shotgun. You closing up your gate, the gun between your leg. You know what I mean? You standing up inside of your business, you're selling whatever the case is. Your shotgun out on the floor or in the office. You have a problem. You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, what I think the issue is that our law books need to be sat down with 22. You know what I mean? Because even some of the ways, some of our officers, I've heard their cries before. They don't have enough police vest. What you call it? Bulletproof vest. And the only way you can get that if the commissioner writes a letter for you to go to the case. So we have to look at things realistically in the climate that we're in right now. Literally, as a civilian in this country, if you do not have a licensed shotgun or rifle, you're literally sitting there as what? And so any bad man can just pull up and just take advantage of you because why? They got the guns at leisure. And so these fellas ain't care. They riding around with their guns. They have access to guns. And so we have to, and don't forget now, when the crime is committed, we then have to go on the phone and call who?
Police.
All right then. And so answer that question, please, because I don't want people to believe I'm lobbying for persons to have handguns, which I don't see anything wrong with with a businessman having the right to carry arms. What are you saying, that the entire country is retarded? Can't control their anger, or what happened yesterday will now increase? No, that would not increase, because anyone can get a gun right now. You get a gun for rent, or you can buy a gun. All right. So giving persons the right to carry a firearm because they're in danger of their life. But again, when you come, I think, from the Commissioner of Police or the Prime Minister view, some kind of legal issue that requires that, then again, you have to find you guys for training, because you can't just give somebody a firearm who ain't get no training.
And also, when it comes to training, it's not just training for the weapon itself or the firearm itself. It's also knowing the law that governs around that, and the safety rules and regulations pertaining to safeguarding yourself.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. First aid, being able to secure the individual if you don't want to say kill the individual or whatever else. Non-lethals, even the non-lethals have something where you need to do a detox or whatever else. So you have to train for these things.
Yeah. All right, man, we've come to the end of our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for listening to the Hit Back, man. This is yours truly, DJ Counsellor. Great for our guest for being here. And I want to read one more text before we go. The hoodlums are running wild because there is no consequences for their actions, and they go to court, then they talk foolishness about the worst of the worst, and then they get bail, and this is why there's much retaliation. And also, again, just want to thank our new director, Virgil Stirp, for being there and speaking to some very important topics that will unite the lobby together and change proper training, internationally accredited, certified, multi-level training for security, law enforcement, and security industry and civilians. Who's that?
That's Mr. Gordon.
That's Mr. Gordon. Mr. Gordon is a powerful man. Thank you for coming, and thank you for thinking and spearheading this, man. I want to meet you one day. And ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure sitting here first time in the chair, man. And so you guys can text me, let me know if I did a horrible job, if I did a good job. There was someone who did send a text, and this person said that we must stop perpetrating that women are desperate, and that the world population is more equal to men, and slight women. I think it's just 102 over 100. I understand what they're saying, and we take that as a criticism on that and so forth. But in the black race, there's more women than men. All right, and so that's what we're more allotting to. And so definitely, all is not lost. And let's continue to be a light, man. Let's continue to give more instead of taking away. Instead of judging and criticizing more, let's find how we can positively be in someone's life. As the young lady who lost her life, want to give to our family, and also want to give condolences to those who lost their lives, to the families on Long Island. God bless you guys. Have a safe and prosperous week. Like I always say, this is yours truly, DJ Counsellor. Blessed love of the time. Oh, so godly.
Virgil A. Thurston Stirrup, Semper Fi Protection Agency. I can be contacted at 434-7821. My email address is sfpavirgil@gmail.com.
Marlin Young. My email is marlinyoung242@hotmail.com. My phone contact is 4545-621.
Bless. For the one whom God has sent speaks the words of God. For God gives the Spirit without limit. Blessed love every time is limitless.
Jesus Christ, them open up the eyes. Type on the cross just to save our life. Christian youth, them spiritually wise. Live we win soul, so you know, so be wise. God open up heaven and hear our cry. We pray for the sick and the lame, them rise. Pray for blessing just for you and I. Pray that the church can come and unite. 1 set, 10, 2 set, thousands of light. Listen to him, his word is principle. Him love we and we know it is visible. It's a blessing every day to have grace. You know, so every day we seek God's face. You know, so Jesus Christ bust the place. Tell Satan, man, get out of face.